Two tiny homes, both under 400 square feet, both built for people who are done overpaying for a roof over their heads. One is made from recycled steel that once crossed the Pacific Ocean. The other is framed in wood, built the way homes have been built for centuries. They look different. They cost differently. They live differently. And right now in 2026, with housing prices still at near record highs, millions of people are asking the exact same question. Which one is actually cheaper? And which one is actually better? We pulled the real 2026 numbers. We looked at build costs, hidden fees, zoning headaches, resale value, energy bills, and long-term livability. No fluff. No paid sponsorships pushing one option over the other. By the end of this video, you will know exactly which home wins on price, which wins on comfort, and which one is right for your situation. But here is the twist nobody tells you. The answer is not the same for everyone. Stick around, because the winner depends on 3 specific factors we reveal at the end of this video. Before we dive in, do me one quick favor. Hit that subscribe button right now and tap the notification bell. We drop honest, data-driven tiny home content every week, and you do not want to miss what we have coming. Now let's get into it. The shipping container home. A shipping container home is exactly what it sounds like. You take one or more of those massive steel boxes designed to haul cargo across oceans, and you convert them into a livable space. A standard 20-foot container gives you about 160 square feet. A 40-foot container gives you 320 square feet. Stack 2 containers or place them side by side, and you are approaching 640 square feet. These things were engineered to survive the worst weather on the planet. They are stacked 6 high on ships, fully loaded, in storms at sea. That is serious structural strength. The traditional tiny house. The traditional tiny house is a wood-framed, stick-built home, just dramatically downsized. Think everything your parents' house has, compressed into under 400 square feet. Most sit on a permanent foundation or on a trailer, so they can move. They use standard residential construction techniques, which means most contractors already know how to build them. These feel like a home the moment you walk in. Warm wood, familiar finishes, a kitchen that looks like a kitchen. Same square footage range, completely different DNA. So let's talk about real money. What does a shipping container home actually cost in 2026? Let's start with the number everyone leads with: the container itself. According to 2026 data from Home Guide, a used shipping container runs between $1,700 and $8,200, depending on size and condition. A new one can hit higher. That sounds incredibly cheap for a home's structural shell, and it is. But here is where it gets complicated. Foundation, $3,000 to $19,350. Yes, container homes still need a foundation. A concrete slab, pier footings, or a crawl space, depending on your site. Structural modifications, $5,000 to $20,000. You are cutting steel to add windows and doors. That requires welding, reinforcement, and a skilled hand. Insulation, $1,000 to $5,000. This is a big one we come back to. Steel conducts heat and cold like crazy. Proper insulation is non-negotiable. Plumbing and electrical, for $1,000 to $10,000. Running pipes and wires through steel requires different techniques than wood construction. Interior finishes, $5,000 to $15,000. Drywall, flooring, cabinetry, fixtures, permits, and site prep, $1,500 to $4,500 plus. Add all of that up, and the 2026 average for a finished single container tiny home lands between $25,000 and $80,000. On a per square foot basis, you are typically paying $150 to $350 per square foot, fully finished. Multi-container builds scale up fast. 2 containers, custom layout, architect fees, you can easily hit $150,000 to $250,000. What does a traditional tiny house cost in 2026? Traditional tiny houses built by professional builders come in at $30,000 to $70,000 on the lower end for simpler designs, up to $100,000 to $150,000 for fully custom builds with high-end finishes. On a per square foot basis, you are typically looking at $150 to $450 per square foot for a well-built traditional tiny house. A prefab tiny house, ordered from manufacturer and delivered to your lot, can start as low as $73,000 and includes utility hookups in some packages. No assembly headaches, no welding, no specialty contractors. The honest verdict on cost. Here is what the data actually shows. These two options cost roughly the same per square foot once everything is done. The idea that container homes are dramatically cheaper than tiny houses is largely a myth. Where container homes have a cost edge is the very smallest builds. A DIY single container home built by someone with real construction skills can come in under $40,000 all in. That is genuinely hard to beat. But if you are hiring contractors for both, the price gap largely disappears. And as we are about to show you, container homes carry hidden costs that most videos do not talk about. Container home hidden costs. Number 1, the insulation problem. Steel is a thermal conductor. That means in summer, your home becomes an oven. In winter, a freezer. To solve this properly, you need spray foam insulation at $1 to $4.50 per square foot. But here is the kicker. Proper insulation on walls and ceiling eats 4 to 8 inches of your interior space on all sides. On an already narrow 8-foot wide container, losing 8 inches on each side leaves you with a finished interior width of under 7 feet. For context, a standard hallway is 3 feet wide. This gets cozy fast. Number 2, specialty labor. Not every contractor knows how to work with shipping containers. You will likely need a structural engineer, a certified welder, and a contractor experienced with container builds. That pool of professionals is smaller than traditional home builders, which means higher hourly rates and potentially longer timelines. Number 3, financing is harder. Most traditional mortgage lenders will not finance a single container tiny home. You're looking at personal loans, builder loans, or mobile home financing, typically at higher interest rates. According to 2026 data, conventional mortgage rates run 6 to 7%, but many container home buyers end up with higher rate personal loans. Number 4, resale is uncertain. Container homes remain a niche market. In most regions, resale is unpredictable. You are not building equity the way you would with a traditional home or even a standard tiny house. Traditional tiny house hidden costs. Traditional tiny houses are not without their own surprises. Zoning is the big one. Many municipalities classify them differently depending on whether they sit on a foundation or a trailer, and some counties still actively resist tiny houses on wheels. Wood framing also requires regular maintenance. Moisture, termites, and rot are enemies of wood construction in ways that simply do not apply to steel containers. And if you go the THOW route, a tiny house on wheels, towing and transportation costs add up every time you move. Container homes. A prefab single container unit. The fastest we have seen documented is 22 days from delivery to move in, once the foundation was ready. Factory does 80% of the work before it ships to you. Custom multi-container designs, though, run 3 to 6 months once you factor in permits and inspections. Traditional tiny houses. Professional builders typically quote 3 to 6 months for a custom build. Prefab tiny homes from established manufacturers can be delivered in 4 to 12 weeks. Advantage. Container homes, specifically prefab single-unit builds, win on speed. Custom builds are roughly equal. Container home durability. Steel containers are engineered to carry 25 to 30 tons while stacked 6 high in ocean conditions. That structural integrity is real and impressive. However, steel rusts. A properly treated and painted container in a dry climate can last 25 to 30 years with minimal maintenance. In humid or coastal climates, rust management becomes an ongoing cost and responsibility. The other durability challenge is the thermal cycling issue we mentioned earlier. Steel expands and contracts significantly with temperature changes. Over years, this can stress window and door seals, require a caulking, and in extreme cases affect structural connections. Traditional tiny house durability. A well-built wood-framed tiny house on a proper foundation can last 50 years or more. Traditional construction has centuries of proven longevity behind it. Wood does require moisture management and periodic treatment, but the maintenance toolkit for wood construction is universally understood. Any handyman, contractor, or hardware store can help you. Advantage. Traditional tiny houses win on long-term durability, particularly for permanent foundation builds. Container home comfort. Modern container homes, well designed and properly insulated, feel genuinely impressive. The industrial aesthetic, clean lines, and steel and wood interior combination has become its own sought-after design language. But let's be honest about the limits. 8 feet wide. That is your interior width, minus insulation. In a standard room layout, that means single-file hallways, compact kitchens, and bedrooms where 2 people will bump into each other getting dressed. The 2026 container home market has gotten much better at addressing these spatial constraints. High-cube containers at 9 feet 6 inches tall help. Smart layouts with fold-down furniture, Murphy beds, and custom cabinetry make the most of every inch. Temperature control also deserves an honest mention. Even well-insulated container homes in extreme climates, whether Phoenix heat or Minnesota cold, tend to run higher HVAC costs than equivalent wood frame structures. Traditional tiny house comfort. A wood-frame tiny house simply feels more like a home. The warmth of wood, familiar materials, better acoustic properties, and design flexibility that is not constrained by an 8-foot steel box all add up. You also get better natural insulation from wood framing, lower thermal bridging, and the ability to use standard residential windows and doors that fit standard openings. Design freedom is also greater. No steel to cut. No welder required to add a window. Your builder can adjust the floor plan, the ceiling height, and the layout without specialty equipment. Advantage. Traditional tiny houses win on comfort and livability for most people. This is probably the single most overlooked factor in this entire debate, and it could be the deciding factor for your situation regardless of anything else we have covered. Container homes and zoning. Here is the 2026 reality. Container homes are not permitted everywhere. Many cities and counties have specific language in their zoning codes that either restricts or outright bans shipping containers for residential use. This is especially true in suburban and HOA-governed neighborhoods. Rural and agricultural zones tend to be far more permissive. If you're building in the country, chances are good you can make it work with the right permits. Urban and suburban lots require careful investigation before you spend a dollar. Container homes must meet the same building codes as traditional homes, including minimum ceiling height requirements from the International Residential Code. Standard containers provide only 7 feet 10 inches of interior height before insulation and flooring, which barely clears the IRC minimum. High-cube containers provide the necessary margin. Traditional tiny houses and zoning. Traditional tiny houses face zoning challenges too, but the landscape has improved. Multiple states have passed ADU-friendly legislation in recent years, and the tiny home movement has enough legal momentum that many counties have adapted their codes. Tiny houses on foundations tend to have the clearest legal path. Tiny houses on wheels often get classified as RVs, with their own set of parking and habitation rules. Advantage: neither option is completely clear, but traditional tiny houses on foundations generally have a more established legal pathway in more locations. Alright, you stayed for the verdict. Here it is, straight, round-by-round scorecard. Upfront cost, tie, per square foot, both run $150 to $350 when professionally built. Container homes only win when you have strong DIY skills and do significant labor yourself. Hidden costs: traditional tiny house wins. Financing is easier, insulation challenges are lower, and resale is more predictable. Build speed: container home wins for prefab single-unit builds. Tie for custom designs. Durability: traditional tiny house wins on a 20-plus year horizon. Container homes require more climate-specific maintenance. Comfort and livability: traditional tiny house wins for most people. The width constraint of containers is real. Design flexibility: traditional tiny house wins. No specialty welding required to adjust the floor plan. Eco-credentials: container home wins. Using a recycled steel structure reduces construction waste meaningfully. Zoning: traditional tiny house wins in more locations, particularly suburban and foundation-based builds. Off-grid potential: tie. Both work beautifully with solar, rainwater collection, and composting systems. Overall, 2026 winner: traditional tiny house. For most people, most of the time, a well-built traditional tiny house delivers more comfort, more design flexibility, easier financing, better resale prospects, and lower maintenance headaches over the long run. But here is that twist we promised. Container homes are the better choice for 3 specific situations. Situation 1. You have serious construction or welding skills and plan to DIY a significant portion of the build. In that case, your labor transforms a container into the most cost-effective permanent dwelling available. We are talking sub-$40,000 for a code-compliant tiny home. Situation 2. You want an ADU, a guest house, a home office, or a short-term rental unit placed on an existing property. A single container unit, delivered and set by crane, is fast, modular, and designed for exactly that use case. Situation 3. You love the industrial modern aesthetic and are building in a rural or permissive zoning environment. If the look and the off-grid lifestyle are the point, container homes deliver an experience that wood framing simply cannot replicate. For everyone else, traditional tiny houses are more forgiving, more comfortable, and more accessible. There you have it. The honest 2026 comparison between shipping container tiny homes and traditional tiny houses. Real numbers, real trade-offs, no sponsored opinions. If this helped you get clarity, do 3 things right now. Hit the like button because it genuinely helps this channel reach more people making big housing decisions. Drop a comment below. Are you team container or team traditional? I read every single one. And if you are still figuring out your tiny home path, I will link our full playlist right here. We have covered zoning laws by state, the best tiny home builders under $90,000, and how to finance a tiny home in 2026 without a traditional mortgage. All honest, all data backed. Subscribe if you haven't yet. We will see you in the next one.